Hey there, folks. How you doing today? Hope you're having an awesome day. Well, today we're going to have a look at this flashy fella right here. And we'll do a rundown on the specs of the knife, and then we'll get into a little bit of history about it. So if you're interested, stay tuned. So this is a United-Boker made by Boker and Solingen, Germany. But we'll get into what the United part of it means here in a bit. But it is a two-blade trapper. Closed length is 4 1/8 inches. Your main blade is a clip point. Very nice snap on the open. The length of your main blade is 3 2/8 inches, and your cutting edge is 2 7/8. And your secondary blade, with basically the same dimensions, is a spade blade. So your standard trapper. It has nickel silver bolsters, nickel silver pins, and nickel silver shield. You can see there the United-Boker. Dual back springs with brass liners, and has Christmas tree celluloid handles. You can see here, you can look at it this way. Basically, you've got this sparkly sheet here and then the celluloid laid over top of that. Looks really impressive in the sun when it catches all the sparkliness. Your blades are stainless steel. You see here, hunter trapper etched on the blade with a hunter with his rifle. And then your serial number right there. Now, if we look at the tag stamp, you can see you have the Boker tree. It says United-Boker, Solingen, Germany. Nothing on this side. Very nice snap. This is just a nicely made knife. Everything very tight. No gapping anywhere whatsoever. No stepping. You can feel the pins, but they're rounded pins. And I suspect that's something necessary to the cellulite. And your shield is inset nicely. Blade alignment is pretty good. A little bit to the show side on each. No signs of blade rub on your spade blade. And no signs of blade rub on your clip point. So now for a little bit of history. Now, I'm not going to take a deep dive into Boker history. If you're interested in that, then Mike at Rasputin's Castle has a two-part series he did about a year ago that goes through the history of Boker, both from Germany and into the US and up to modern times. So I'll link those in the description below. So if you're interested, definitely go check those out because he has some great historical information in detail. We'll go as far back as 1970. So in 1970, Boker USA is acquired by J. Wiss & Sons. And they were a producer of scissors, razors, knives, and cutlery. Formed in 1848, and I believe they closed up in 1976, and their production facility was in Newark, New Jersey. In 1976, J. Wiss is acquired by Cooper Industries, who is, I believe, a tool maker. They initially produced in Newark, New Jersey, and then in 1978 moved production to Statesboro, Georgia. So in 1983, Cooper ends U.S. production of Boker knives, and I don't believe they had another import facility at that time. Well, in 1984, United Cutlery, which is a partnership between Smoky Mountain Knife Works and Blue Ridge Knives, approaches Boker to have some Boker knives made for their company to sell in the U.S. So there's an opportunity for Boker to continue sales in the U.S., So they produce on existing models and frames pocket knives for the United-Boker brand. And that partnership lasts for the late 80s into the early 90s. But in 1986, Boker is able to buy back the license to produce Boker USA in the US from Cooper Knives. So for the production of the knives, they come up with the unique shield, the United-Boker, and the tank stamp reads United-Boker Solingen, Germany, and has the tree brand logo. Now, I believe initially the first runs used bone handles, red bone, green bone, things like that. And then later on, they moved into the acetate. Now we can see here, this one in particular has the Hunter Trapper blade etch with the Hunter. And they had different etchings, different series and whatnot. So Boker, buying the rights back, can now produce knives in the US again. So when the partnership ends, United Cutlery begins initially, I believe, getting their knives produced in Japan, and then later on in places like Taiwan. In 2006, United declares bankruptcy and is later bought out by Bud K Knives. And I went and had a look at their website, and they don't seem to be producing anything under the United name. Mostly they're producing kind of swords, fantasy knives, more modern knives. So that kind of put an end to the United Cutlery brand. Now there's some, I don't want to say controversy, but some debate about these knives. As far as the Boker knives and the Boker US knives, they're not considered the most highly collectible. And that's because there's some debate as to whether or not they're actually made in Germany. So one thing I did find out is that Germany has a copyright law dating back to 1938, and I believe it was updated again in 1994. And you'll forgive my pronunciation, but Solingen Verordnung, which means Solingen Ordinance. And that basically says that the Solingen tank stamp can only be used on knives made, produced wholly in Germany. So that being said, I don't see where they could get away with putting the Solingen tank stamp on the United Cutlery knives if they were not made in Solingen, Germany. But there are those people out there who don't believe they're made in Solingen, and I mean, maybe they're not, maybe there was a way around it, but from what I see, I'm fairly confident that the United-Boker knives were made in Solingen, Germany. But just a very well-made knife. Very, very flashy handles. They really catch the sunlight well. Just, everything I would expect from a Boker knife made in Solingen, Germany. So here's probably the oldest Boker I have in my collection. It's seen a rough life, but it's probably circa 1910. You can see the pocket-worn bone on it. But even this one, great shape. It's a Stockman. Sadly, the main blade had been broken. And the tank stamp is fairly hard to make out on the main blade. But still a very snappy knife. You can see the tree there. So anyway, folks, that'll be it for today. I hope you enjoyed. I'd like to thank Mike at Rasputin's Castle for sending this one up for me to look at. Just a beautiful knife. And controversy or not, that's a solid, well-made knife. Anyway, folks, I hope you're having an awesome day. And if you're not, you know what I always say, go spend some time in the woods, even a little walk in the park. You're in the city and you've got a nice little walking park. It's a great place to just go relax. You might see some critters, listen to some birds, see some wildflowers. If you do, take a knife with you. Might just come in handy. You all take care.